definitely the play of AOE was addressing some of the big problem points that we can see from WyoBoomers. As we get into this draft, though, WyoBoomers are definitely addressing a trouble point by themselves. They ban away that Talia.
Yep, and Runeweaver on the Talia looked disgusting, but I don't think that's the. I was gonna say I don't think just banning that was the key issue there. They also banned the Udyr for Mel Scout. That I respect. I didn't understand the Malphite ban in game one. And I think Mordekaiser is a lot less scary. Mordekaiser doesn't have that pace. For WyoBoomers, you want to remove the pieces that got that pace up that high. And while Lee Sin or Potato Head looked very, very scary, it probably wouldn't work anywhere near as well without that Udyr.
Yeah, I like where they've stuck here. They keep the Thresh as something they don't want to be played, period, because of his ability to roam and provide general amazing amounts of utility. But the Udyr Talia were so clutch early on that it makes total sense to take those away. AOE, on the other hand, they're not forced to adapt right now. They could take away something that they felt was problematic, but it's really not a concern, given how convincing that first game was.
They're not the ones who have to fix or change anything up. They did let the Jhin through this time. But again, I didn't think it was that big a ban. Lee Sin first pick by WyoBoomers this time. Let's go.
What is happening here? Where is it going is my question. Do we think that Trinity plays this? That Papa Francesco plays this? Is this a Wickelhouse pick? And I guess the same questions to be asked of Gragas.
I mean, technically, so Lee Sin is a three-way flex in draft. And for WyoBoomers, Papa, Francesco, Wickelhouse, and Trinity all actually play this Lee Sin. So it is an actual legit three-way flex right now, which has me super, super excited. Gragas coming in, I like that pick as well, because Gragas plays very well into the Lee Sin. And Gragas can match any lane Lee Sin wants to go here. So you can literally just pick that right now and wait to see where Wyo is going and just solely match in that 1v1 to make sure you always got a good match here.
And the only thing you have to hope is that AOE do have the flexibility for themselves to be able to make it that three-way that they do require. AOE now, since they have the Varus, I'm expecting them to take away the support next, whatever they want to take off that first round, to keep the Gragas as flexible as possible. Wyo, on the other hand, also want to lock themselves in a great bot lane duo to abuse this Varus right now. It starts with Jhin, interestingly enough.
Yep. Okay, so I guess AOE have some information. I really didn't think the Jhin was that high prio here, but WyoBoomers did pick it up right away as an answer to the Varus. Morgana being picked up here, and my gut tells me Jhin Morgana bot lane and Lee Sin jungle, but with the way Morgana is right now, she is seen more frequently in the jungle here. And depending on what you put in the bot lane, you put another CC bot into the bot lane, and I think more jungle would make that bot lane a very, very scary place for this Varus.
Lots of flexibility here, though, and that is crucial. As we get into the next phase, it'll be really interesting to see what AoE pick up in R4 and what they ban away, moreover, from Wyo in this interim ban phase because of more flexible champions. More of it!
Just don't want to give us any time to think about how the lanes are going to play out, do you? Well, we can look at compositionally what we're seeing already from AoE here. You've got Gragas, you've got Varus, you've got Karma here. Varus Karma, doesn't matter where the Karma is going, you've got a lot of poke. You've got some pretty good disengage as well. If they run at you, you run away. You add an explosive cast as well, and AoE right now, very good at running away. Engaging, not quite as good here. And I'm scared when I see a disengage comp, because that requires coordination. And I'm remembering post 20-minute AoE right now.
But pre 20-minute AoE, before 20 minutes, they can disengage as much as they want. That sort of playstyle, I actually wish we saw from more teams, with just absolutely smurfing it in the first 20, and then I'm trying to think of like a stream appropriate way to say this. Keeping themselves from playing the game optimally in the second half would be an interesting style to see AoE potentially develop, at least in their first week, as this particular 5-man. I don't think that it'll happen. I don't think it's what they're going for. It'd be entertaining at the very least. They've already taken away a Bard, though, so suspecting that Morgana isn't going into the support position, do you double down now on the support bans?
The problem is for Wyo right now, you literally don't know where anything's going. I think mid, maybe top. One of the solo lanes I prefer. They go for top. They ban out the Camille a little bit for Papa Francesco here. Now, is that because they're thinking of flexing the Karma top and Camille does pretty decently into it here? If they do that, then they are still open for
And Karma would do well into Lee Sin, theoretically, right? I guess you can just pick 3 matchups that would go well into Lee Sin and then just not care.
I just kind of shaft Lee Sin. The risk of course, picking 3 early is that you kind of tip your hand, and Wyo gets to counter 2 of those lanes, potentially. Rise being taken out by the side of Wyo here, so paying a lot of respect to Runeweaver, and we've seen a lot of Cassio from Runeweaver. That is an option, and if you're talking about disengage or counter engage, Cassio would fit perfectly.
Yeah, for right now, though, it will be the Orianna, and something that still does fit in that sort of disengage pool. Orianna's got a lot of flexibility and is a very safe blind pickable laner, although it does mean that at the very least, Gragas isn't going into the mid lane.
True. Oh, Ori support, no, Ori top.
Yeah.
AOE right now, I feel like their last pick here, you're looking for a ball delivery system because you don't have a great one right now. Gragas Belly Slam is potentially an option for a ball delivery, but it's not the most reliable here. Wyo, I like this adaptation a little bit because there's so much disengage from AOE. You're now trading kind of poke for poke a little bit with that Xerath pickup here. It can match the Varus, it can match the Karma, and
okay, it can even do more than them in the later stages of the game. A good Xerath can really ruin your day and will make it very difficult for AoE to work if they don't pick the perfect thing right now. It's got to be a Gragas jungle if they want to engage from that top lane. Maybe some sort of jungler we haven't seen before.
Potentially. I'm just more like scratching my head about the Nautilus Xerath right now.
What?
Yeah, that is still a Gragas jungle. I mean, that... okay, very high skill, I feel like, for both these champions here. They're not... the compositions aren't super cohesive. Let's start the Xerath Nautilus, Dia, because that's what originally had me scratching my head from the side of Wyo. You have a comp that's got great pick potential with Lee Sin, Jhin, Morgana, Xerath. Mm-hmm. Then you pick Nautilus. What does Nautilus bring to the table, Dia?
CC.
CC and hard engage. Like, that's literally all Nautilus brings to the table is CC hard engage. Okay, great. You've got a bit more pick, perhaps, but Nautilus is going to be the only one going in and everybody else is not. Maybe your Lee Sin goes in here. Wyo kind of split their comp a little bit here, and I'm not sure I like it.
Hear me out. You take Nautilus and you put him in the jungle. Right?
Not on patch 11.11 yet.
But no. You're prepping. You're mentally and physically preparing for patch 11.11, where you'll be able to take the Nautilus there, maybe a little bit more optimally. But it has the potential of kind of exploding a game if he can operate on a little bit of a heavier budget, because the problem right now that I'm talking about is a very similar one to yours, that you don't have a lot of high budget people that are building tank here, so the damage absorption is very low, and AoE have a lot of damage that they can deal.
Yeah, even just in poke as well right now with that Varus and Karma we're talking about, the engage though, if Yone finds their way in, if Gragas finds their way in, it's so brutal. And I was talking about a ball delivery system earlier. Yone can serve as that. It's a high risk, high reward ball delivery system. If Fate Sealed lands, you scoop them all up, and then the shockwave comes down.
Boom.
I'm looking at Wyo. Who's walking out of that?
Yeah. Not a whole lot of people. Maybe nobody, honestly. But it's also a pretty high skill execution on the side of AoE. I know you mentioned it as they locked in that Yone there, but even with the Orianna that typically goes with easier to execute teamfight comps, when you leave things up to Yone like that, especially with the amount of free positioning on Wyo, because they're not all trying to just deathball you, I feel like this is actually going to be a very difficult game for AoE to straight up win teamfights in.
For sure. I mean, Wyo has no reason to group up here. There is no risk. There is no threat. Your biggest problem is going to be that Yone and that Gragas running in. And for that, I'm actually looking at Karma for Dibble here, because the Karma speed up is going to be key. If they can get the right positions to get that cask off, to separate members, to get their pick, or if they can get the Fate Sealed onto multiple members, fight's done, dusted, and over. But if they can't, then they just have to kind of sit there while Wyo gets to play around, looking for their own poke, for their own picks here. So a lot to do with manual positioning rather than just point and click, press R easy engage, blink engages here for both these teams. But yeah, I do want to quickly talk about the early game a little bit
Please.
here. Because last game was all about the early game from these teams, or from AOE specifically here. And this time, AOE don't have themselves that amazing early game. You've got an Orianna in the mid lane. She's not going to want to roam as much. Your Yone top might want to roam, but into a yes, it's the Lee Sin going top. I had to double check that for a second. Into that Lee Sin going top, you can't actually roam, or you will get punished. You will lose a whole ton of plates, and Lee Sin can also match you on the roam. So if AOE want to try and pop off, everything is on Melscout's shoulders, and not in a way where, hey, I get a lane rolling and it'll take over, but in a, I need to constantly gank and re-gank and apply pressure sort of way.
That was something that Melscout, I did feel, did really well last game, at least for those first couple minutes, was the gank re-gank style, but to have to do that again and again on repeat here can start to make you a little bit more easily readable for WyoBoomers as well. And you talked a little bit about the vision game that they had with the Lee Sin, who can also invade, that like we mentioned in game 1. You have the option to put down a lot of vision to control the jungle, and even if you're not straight up skirmishing, Melscout could find himself in a place where everywhere he goes is warded, and it just has to do with WyoBoomers putting that little bit of extra mental effort into knowing that the exact thing that Melscout has to do is a ward away from being solved.
And on top of that, just the 2v2 matchups, the jungle matchups or the 3v3 matchups aren't particularly favorable for Melscout this time. If you're looking to the top lane here, if the Dark Binding lands on Potato Head from Wicklehouse, if it does become a 2v2, Potato Head's done and dusted at that point. Melscout isn't going to be able to save. Mid lane, same thing as well. The Xerath stun is much better setup than anything Orianna's got in her kit for this Gragas. The bot lane, we spoke about Varus, and now with Karma here, they're a squishy bot lane. And we talked about, Morgana Jhin, added the Nautilus. If Nautilus hook lands, the follow-up stun guarantees a Dark Binding, and with the sheer amount of damage and CC, that should be an instant kill as well. So AoE, we talk about skill, expressing mechanical skill. If they want to win the early game, they not only have to be slightly better, they have to be significantly better than WyoBoomers.
They really do, and if they fall behind in the early game, there's going to be a big problem waiting for them as well, because both Wicklehouse and Trinity on the Morgana and Xerath respectively, even Jhin for Palm Goat, are really good at being able to set up sieges, at chunking away your health bar right before objectives, and the only real response here on the other side that isn't hard engage is Dibble and Paxax, who are not going to bring the same level of chunk, even if you do go to the lethality Varus.
Yep. They're just going to try and wave clear as fast as they can outside the turret, and then hope to be able to set up for a fight potentially here. In terms of scaling, though, AoE God Squad technically have this in the bank with the Orianna, with the Yone, with the Varus. My only concern is that WyoBoomers played better last game in the late game, and this time they've got the early game, technically on paper, to offset that here. So I feel like game 2, this is the chance for WyoBoomers to fire back. I think if we look at the compositions, while I don't think they necessarily won draft in terms of drafting better, I do think their draft covers their weaknesses better than AoE's does.
Let's talk about their strengths as well, because we talked, or we mentioned rather, that Melscout needs to be the person to succeed for God Squad. Who or whom, plural, need to be stepping up on WyoBoomers to make them actively win the early game?
Yes, Dia. All of them.
Yeah, I appreciate that response. Your candor is appreciated, RMC. With that, I'm going to send it straight in. No further explanation required. I'm hyped to see WyoBoomers take it back. AoE God Squad, you look out, because these guys are here to fight. Let's throw it over to a quick break before DJ and Necrox take you on your merry way.
Listen to what I have to say, as I don't have much time. We are very close to enacting our very first major action to further our community's vision and mission. This act will be just the beginning of something of a magnitude that the world has never seen. This act will bring together several communities at once to not only change the lives of one of our own, but to help said person in their esports or streaming career. This act is just the beginning. In the next few months, Veta will be giving out its very first $3,000 grant to one of our own to upgrade their YouTube channel, their setup, their stream, or anything else to make their esports career dream a reality. We will need the help of the various communities around us to make this a reality when the opportunity is presented. Together, we will change someone's life. Together, we will. No Sautamuna.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Excellency. We are straight onto the Rift for WyoBoomers AOE God Squad Game 2. I am still Necrox. Joining me is still DJ, and I'm hoping in Game 2 we get a little bit more semblance of normalcy and some farming. Sounds good for me, but outside of that, I really just want to see Wyo slow the pace of this game. They've got a couple picks that, yes, can be aggressive. You have the Lee Sin, you have the Nautilus, but honestly, I just want some peace and quiet on the Rift for a little bit. Let's have a nice, lovely conversation about where this night can go.
No, blood, gore, killing, let's go, come on, give it to me, AOE God Squad, let's go, that's what I want to see, Necrox. What's the stuff about peace? We don't do peace here, this is Heavy League. We do blood, we do death, we do wins, and AOE God Squad, we're giving it to us last game, Necrox. A little bit more of what I would say is a controlled draft out of them here after a lot of comfort picks were taken away. But I think they might find a way to fight anyway. They've got a heavy poking lane in bottom side. And most importantly, I think we got a pretty volatile matchup in the top lane here, Necrox. So I think we could be seeing some early action up there as they try to get these laners ahead. We saw how good it was for Potato Head to be ahead. Yeah, okay, I fumbled into that one. But now it's Papa's turn, and we all know what a Yone can do from ahead as well. So I expect action in the top side. Wickelhaus should have a nice clearing advantage on this Morgana. And honestly, I'm interested to see how he performs on this pick. We've seen a lot of sort of level 2, level 3 ganking junglers from him in the opening 2 matchups for WyoBoomers. They haven't worked out that well. That's why they came into the night, 2 and 4. Nice hook landing here from Birdman onto Paxax, but it's level 1, not enough follow-up, and he'll take a big trade. I want to see how he does on this sort of power farming jungler. I think it's a big style change from WyoBoomers, and I would really like to see them be able to perform on it to show me they have a little bit more than just that singular strategy they've been working on so far.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, Papa can get ahead. Another hook. There's the deadly flourish. This might be first blood, DJ. You wanted to see aggression. Wyo started off with number 1.
Birdman, baby, Lord of the Hooks coming in here. He gets off the animal champion. He gets onto a guy with a chain, and it's working out beautifully. Paxax just a little bit slow on the trigger. He hasn't been able to dodge him. Birdman just gets him twice, burns the initial summoner. It's not enough to get away from the force shot from Palm Goat, and first blood coming in right where you want it.
That is so well done, and now the return plays in for AoE. There's a body slam into the barrel. One more. Trinity has flash, but there's just not enough follow-up damage. The Gragas had expended the combo. Runeweaver was out of those cooldowns, so Trinity will just be able to walk away. Much better stuff here from Wyo in the early game. Wickelhaus not even needed. Just a straight 2v2, and Birdman, instead of roaming away, he just exerts lane dominance here, as Papa will be forced to walk away from this minion wave. The pressure that a Yone can provide is massive, but after those cooldowns are burned, now it's Papa's time to shine in the top lane. The Conqueror's proc. This is a straight up 1v1 duel. Papa has to run away. The Q3 is available. Flash away. 1v1 Kingdom in top side. Wickelhaus tries his flash. Birdman trying to follow through as well. The Dark Binding will not connect. Wyo everywhere in the map right now. Definitely off the gun in this one.
Yeah, they are. There's that classic Birdman roam in the early game. He will leave Palm Goat in a pretty awkward position, though. This is not a traditionally good clearing AD carry. Jhin typically struggles with kind of the awkwardness of those 4 bounces and his reload mechanic to clear waves away. Nice root here going to land onto Potato Head. There's not really any follow-up at the moment. Trinity's coming over, though. And it looks like there won't be much there. So Birdman does re-arrive. Palm Goat has lost a little bit of farm for sure, but done a pretty good job for himself. Still has 25 CS, so won't get punished at all for the roam from Birdman. And they did get Runeweaver's flash. We'll see if they can take advantage of that flashless mid in the next couple minutes.
Yeah, Wickelhaus already trying to extend that lead, trying to pursue the pressure here in the early game, stealing away those Raptors, which junglers like Morgana and Lilia are so efficient at clearing with their AoE style clears. So good stuff there from Wickelhaus, maintaining a lead here as Metal Scout bases picks up those Predator cooldown boots, so we'll now have a keystone to work with here in the early game. And speaking of keystones, it's a Tempo Varus once again. There is a front line here to be able to get through for Paxax. TP top side. Here comes maybe a dive attempt. If this binding lands, it could be a dead Yone. There's the bind. Papa needs to get in, though. Needs to be able to finish the kill. One more Q under the turret. Papa, be careful. What is going on? It's a full moon or something. Potato watches his top laner int it under a turret.
Oh, that really feels bad, Necrox. That's a really, really unfortunate play for Pop. He just gets too excited, I think. Oh no, we're gonna make him watch it again. This is brutal, guys. This is cruelty. This man's a preacher. This man is a man of faith. Don't do it to him like this.
No, the slow-mo and the zoom in. Come on, observers. This is disgusting. The conquer, the flash away. Does Papa... Okay, all right, he didn't flash, he didn't have it. It was a flash away from Potato. A little bit of a spectator glitch there with a double animation, but still, that is disgusting to have to watch again. And really unfortunate stuff there from Papa. And you wanted to see a Yone get ahead. You wanted to see Potato take this matchup head on. Well, he's doing exactly that. Thanks to a little bit of a blunder, sure. But he's got himself a kill lead now in the top lane.
I was gonna say, I want to see the Yone get ahead, but not like this, Necrox. Not like this. Regardless, though, it will be Potato back in the lead, already onto those Berserker's Greaves. Has a nice ward down as well, and the wave in a very good spot for him. Although Mel Scout's still not really nearby enough to be taking advantage of it. We'll see how long Potato can hold it, or Potato just wants to try and kill Papa.
He's got an ulti, could expend it here, but decides not to go any further. So Potato and Papa still duking out on the top side. Mel Scout is here as well. Looking for the play under the turret. Flash, body slam, and goodbye. Nicely done there from Mel Scout to get an easy pick on the top side, and Papa is 0-2-0.
Yeah, I said the wrong jungler as he did approach, but he didn't make any wrong moves there, Necrox. Beautifully executed combo, not even level 6, but it doesn't matter for Mel Scout. He picks up that kill, punishes Papa once again. No TP in this Lee Sin, and now he will fall very, very far behind as Runeweaver is seized upon in mid.
No flash. This is the Birdman we've come to love and see. He's gonna have to steal the kill, but man, he's a carry in and of itself. Birdman picking up his first of game number 2. Wyo getting their support across the map, as this is what Palm Goat does. He plays weak side, he collects as much CS as he can, and look, he's still ahead with more minions to collect. He'll pick up those two, so has a lead after all these moves from Birdman. This guy knows how to play weak side and AD carry, and he does it so well as WyoBoomers finally feel like they have control over a game.
Yeah, well, can't disagree.
Sort of.
Yeah, control, I was going to say. Even on gold here, your top lane bleeding a little bit into a Yone, and we all know how strong Yone gets sort of in the mid game. Hyper late game's not great, but Mel Scout's back up here to make Papa's life absolute hell. Oh no, Papa, you might as well be living in hell, buddy, and you're a preacher. You got to get out of there. Palm Goat, that's a little over aggressive.
Okay, Pack-Sack's gonna be able to pick up kill number 1. Can they find kill number 2? One more AO. Birdman trying to get himself away, but Pack-Sack's flashing forward does not have the damage to finish it off. Now the jungle fight in the topside river over Rift Herald. Here Crumb's Trinity ganking this play from 5,000 units away. Wicklehouse having to back away, but the Shelly has reset. Here comes Potato over the wall with an ice ulti with the Fate Seal. Your destiny has been secured, but not quite enough damage will allow Trinity to escape back to the safety of his mid-tier 1. Potato, now caught in an awkward position against Papa, will be able to walk away back to the river to join up with his team with an ice roam from Dibble to be able to secure this Shelly. WyoBoomers looking to fight back, but AOE God Squad simply have more members around.
Yeah, that one, I mean, Potato, Necrox, he's so strong, dude. Everywhere he shows up, it's just wins for AOE God Squad as he helps them secure the Rift Herald after Wicklehouse had started it. He will clear a ward away, but Mel Scout's still around topside. Papa's got to be careful. Here comes Birdman again, trying to help out around this mid lane, leaving Palm Goat to his own devices. Palm Goat still continues to excel at farming. Did go a little too aggressive, I would say, on that last play. Was trying to get the fourth shot in, went too far, got rooted up, maybe catching a little bit of the little bit of the top lane syndrome going on here for WyoBoomers, but at the end of the day, it ends up being a 1k gold lead for AOE God Squad, and despite some of the good farming, despite the definitely better early game they're having than game number 1, they're still not in a great position because Potato Head is once again just really, really hyper strong here.
And the control that I was talking about for WyoBoomers, the way that they felt in control was, yes, they're behind topside. Yes, Papa's not having a great time, but Birdman was dominating the Rift, but Papa is just not allowing his team to succeed. It feels like he's just been caught out time and time again, and Birdman's roams have not been enough. Now the river is in contest as Birdman does not want to give up this dragon. He's here on the front line. Bookout House not able to land binding number 1. Drake will be secured by Mel Scout, but now what does the team fight look like? As Birdman hooks forward, Runeweaver solo, opening up for the backline. Trinity's able to find kill 1. The 4th shot does not land as Birdman will trade his life away 1 for 1. Drake secured, though, as AOE God Squad appears to take a team fight win in the river.
Okay.
Oh, Papa's dead. Barely alive. Can the solo kill happen? Potato flash. There's the return play, but oh, that was clean timing on timing as Potato solo kills once again.
Yeah, that honestly, I don't even mind that attempt from Papa. I think that probably would have worked if he was stronger, right? Like, I think there was a bit of a blunder from Potato Head. He just doesn't get punished for it because there aren't enough kills onto Poppy. So far behind in itemization that he doesn't quite have the execute damage on the Q. And oh boy, here Trinity.
Solo kill looking to be made, and there it is. Runeweaver gets 1 solo kill in mid on Trinity. Had the flash, but just not able to pull it off. Runeweaver, shockwave into death. One of the truest combos into the most immobile mages in Xerath. There's just no way to get out, and we had our doubts about this Xerath pick, DJ, and our doubts may have been in good faith because yeah, you're 1-1 and 1 up in CS, but I mean, a Victor could just do so much more for you, and Trinity's so good at the champion.
Yeah, a little bit of a spicy attempt there from Trinity, trying to go all in onto Runeweaver, but yeah, you expend the flash on the Xerath and you don't hit your stun. That is the fate that awaits you, Necrox. He deservedly ends up with a gray screen after trying to make the highlight play. I appreciate the effort there because I do think if he lands it, he probably gets the kill. And at the end of the day, it doesn't come off. Runeweaver picks up another. And AOE God Squad pop the Rift Herald top. They take down the first turret of the game, and they continue to extend their lead through this topside pop. Okay, good dash. Brain barrel.
Nice kick away. There's an attempted maneuver over the wall, but Papa will be out to safety as he has to retreat back to this tier 2. But the siege is still on. They're still looking to grab this turret. Meanwhile, bot side, though, the engage onto Paxax is massive. There's the Black Shield to keep Birdman on the front line as Paxax forced to use the ulti and the heal to get himself out to safety. Pop, I'm not sure you want that one, my friend. You will let Mal Scout walk away along with the other formula that could have happened. Mal Scout looking for a turn back in. And what is this? They're so aggressively positioned in bot lane. They're just trying to zone away Pack and Dibble. Top side though, Papa may just get solo killed. 1 more auto. No, it's not enough. Mel Scout barely alive from a turret shot. Both of these members at 1 HP, but single digit from Papa. That bone plating, yeah, that's a lifesaver.
Yeah, bone plating a lifesaver, along with the fact that Mel Scout doesn't have a mythic item yet, and he's going tank as well. It's just that Bomby Cinder, so it doesn't quite have enough to get that execution. I gotta say here, I was surprised earlier that Potato did not TP into the bot lane when they were extended. He may, do it here. Yep, there it is.
TP on Birdman's already dead. Paxax has got himself a killing spree. Potato
gone.
has the ulti. 1 more auto and just seal his fate. Why don't you? TP easy as you like. 2-0 AOE God Squad.
Yep, and I was sort of just talking about it there, Necrox. The bottom lane had been very pushed up, trying to punish Paxax for the attention on top side, bullying Papa Francesco. It wasn't used in the initial play. It's used there, but it honestly wasn't even needed. And now Trinity, once again, this is what happens when you're a flashless Varus and the enemy composition or team has a brain. They say, you can't get away, you can't do anything, you have 1 stun, and there's 3 of us. Good luck, son.
And even through the dysynergy, the shockwave pulling Trinity out of the Yone ulti, it doesn't matter. You have no way away. There's no escape tool for this mage, and there's no safety. So WyoBoomers will lose their mid laner. They'll lose a wave in mid. They'll lose out on a couple in bot lane along with their entire turret. And AOE God Squad have begun to create chaos where Wyo were trying to create tranquility. And this is where the game can become out of hand. If you're trying to just scale up, if you're trying to play front to back the way Wyo are, at least sort of, right, with the Xerath and the Jhin, there's just not too many ways to do that if you're all around, you're spread out, you're being drawn out to side waves. And, well, yeah, that's what AOE God Squad do best. They create chaos, and now they're going to grab a dragon, almost certainly, unless they want to set up a death brush, but they're going to start this one up.
Yeah, it feels hard to get onto this one. You can see Trinity hovering top side as well, getting the blue buff. So not the full long range combo that they've sort of set their draft up for. You know, the Jhin on top of the Trinity ultimate as well. We saw it once earlier at the last Drake actually pick up some kills despite losing out on the Drake. They're not set up for it this time around, so they just have to give it. And they're now going to face Soul Point on an Infernal Rift here in the next 5 minutes. Binding gonna land, Hook gonna land.
Binding lands, Hook lands, Knockup lands, Runeweaver down to about half HP. The Ignite's ticking, but a nice flash to safety along with Diable will both get them out. Trinity's trying to send those long-range shots in, but to no success. Now Melscout's the one caught in a bad position, using that body slam as an exit ticket. One more route in. Look at the casket, hits 4 members, and Wilkelhouse is the first to fall. Birdman trying to trade this one back, but look who's arrived. It's a triple kill, making a quadra for Paxax in the blink of an eye. This man shreds your whole health bar, and AOE God Squad claim 4 for nothing in the bot side river.
Good God, Necrox. WyoBoomers just filing into their doom like a squad of zombies, man. That was really rough. You had to know that you were getting baited in there. You'd already used 2 ultimates. There was no way you were gonna kill Deeble or Melscout there as they run away. You walk right into Paxac, and we'll see it again. So they've already burned a couple ultis after this. 2 flashes have been expended, so they think, yeah, we can take care of Melscout, but he just dashes out of all the bindings. He sidesteps the ultis, and now look at their health bars. They've been surrounded already. Nobody even touches Paxax in this fight. It's the easiest quadra he could ever ask for in his entire life as his teammates just dance around WyoBoomers, but now they might take down the Fed top laner.
Yeah, they're looking for the shutdown, looking for that extra cash influx, but who's trapped with who? Potato's got a double kill. Now he's going to be kicked back into the team, but Trinity doesn't want to be that close to range. He has to flash away. The lifesteal from the shield bow is just doing too much.
Oh my God!
This quadra kill from Potato. This man is a tank. He's an assassin. He's a bruiser, and he's your worst nightmare. Potato rips you apart at the seams.
I give up. I get what do you even do about that, Necrox? Like, that was what just happened? Did we
AFF'd?
Did they? Yeah, I mean, okay. This is like this is really like bad manners in like a literal sense from WyoBoomers here, obviously, but like I can understand where they're coming from here because what do you do about that? Like. That's a literal DPS check, and you didn't have the DPS. He literally walked through you with 10% HP through all 5 members, and the only reason he didn't pick up a pentakill was because he missed like 1 auto in that sequence. That was insane. That was a literal 1v5. There was no one around him to start that fight.
DJ, go next. There's no other way to put it. They literally just went next. They hit the FF button and decided they didn't want to continue it on anymore. That is crazy. WyoBoomers, who I thought were going to come into this game from a position of strength and into the series with a position of strength, rather, just explode mentally. They explode on the Rift and they're done. They just decide there's no more to be had. They don't want to continue on, and they FF. Simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that. I mean, again, it's not the best manners we've ever seen here in Heavy League, but we have all been in those games in solo queue where there's a 6 kill, 5 kill Yone. You walk up to him, he kills your entire team. You're the AD carry, you get 2 autos, and you die. And like, yeah, well, I mean, what do? Right? The game is pretty much just over, and it feels all the worse when literally all 5 of your members could not kill this guy. This game got out of hand so quickly for WyoBoomers, and they had a better early game than they did last time. The one problem was they had a bad early game in top lane again. And in top lane again, they lost because Mel Scout said, hey, Papa, you don't get to play the game. This is our win condition. And they absolutely made his life a living hell. By the time that lead was like firmly established and they transitioned it down, you saw the results.
Yeah, and without pointing fingers, you got to point fingers, right? Like there's a direct reason why these games are going so poorly, but you have to give credit to this squad of AOE. They know exactly the pressure point to put on, and then they keep pressing until it hurts enough to hit the go next button. And man, AOE God Squad, they are sending a message to everyone tonight against the middle of the pack squad in Wyo, who I had relatively high ranked. They dismantle them. And yes, I've said that before, there are teams that really put on a good show. They push Wyo to the breaking point, something that I have never seen in my time here in Heavy League. So this is uncharted territory, and I'm super excited what DNRMC are going to have to think about this, because it takes a lot to get a team to that point. So I'm going to send it straight to the analyst desk. I want to see what they have to say, and I'm curious if Wyo are going to give us anything in Game 3. DNRMC, after a quick FF, what do you got for us?
Well, you know what, RMC, I'm going to start this off as if it wasn't an FF, because let's not lie to ourselves, the game was over, and I don't feel like WyoBoomers prematurely surrendered the game. As much as you don't often see it in competitive play, it's still something that has its place, and that was definitely it, right? Giving over 2 quadra kills in the span of just a few minutes definitely took its toll mentally, took its toll on the game state, and likely wasn't going to be something to come back from. But even before then, the game state wasn't favoring them, and that's what I want to talk about. I want to know a little bit more about how we got to this point.
Okay, yeah, and I completely agree with you there, Dia. I mean, the FF in this case stands for Fed, and I'm looking specifically at Potato Head and Paxax there, because the game was over from the side lanes. It wasn't the mid lane this time. It wasn't Rune Weaver on the Orianna who just kind of took over things. DJ alluded to the fact that, Potato Head on the Yone was one of their win cons. If a Yone gets ahead, there's nothing you can do. And that was how that last fight ended. 3v1, they still couldn't kill him. They just, no matter what they piled in, it didn't matter. And how did it get that way? Well, partially through misplay. Papa Francesco messed up the laning somewhat here. But the other thing that I want to focus more on, because mechanics are one thing, but the game state, the map state is another there. The fact that Wicklehouse on the Morgana had tempo, was up about 20 CS at roughly around, what was that, 10, 11 minutes there? And we didn't see a single gank to the top side. Whereas, on the other hand, it was Mel Scout, pardon me, who was down CS, but every gank mattered. And we saw that when it went top, gets the kill, that lane was done and over. At that point, we saw the dives, we saw the dive attempts, even if they didn't work out, there still wasn't a good way to reply to that. And that allowed Potato Head to start TPing down in a way that Papa Francesco just could not match.
It feels like it snowballed, but I want to ask you the sort of chicken and the egg question. Was this a game where Wicklehouse had a tempo and it turned into... where Wicklehouse didn't have tempo and it turned into top lane priority? Or was it top lane didn't have priority and it turned into Wicklehouse's tempo?
Little bit of both, but in this case, I will say I think I put more weight on Papa Francesco's misplaying the lane a little bit there. Because when your jungler's not around, Wicklehouse, you can see that on the map. It's communicated by the team that, hey, I'm on the bot side right now. I'm looking bot side. I'm looking mid. I'm not looking top. I literally cannot go top. This is not a TP Smite Morgana, which I have seen before in competitive play. This ain't it. There's no way Wicklehouse gets up there. So Papa Francesco just has to play a bit more cautiously. If you opt into that 1v1 thinking you can get a kill, well, that's kind of on you. And if you fall behind far enough, Wicklehouse can't look there. I think another big thing that kind of played into it, though, was Trinity on the Xerath. I know DJ and Necrox their minds were blown when we saw it. I didn't think it was quite that shocking when I saw it. I thought it worked compositionally, but it didn't fit what WyoBoomers need as a team. Not in terms of the draft, but in terms of the fact that they often look to Trinity to carry. And Xerath, is not a champion who can pull you back from behind. It is a champion that helps you accelerate a win, that requires the jungle to come in to often get those kills there. And that one I put on Wickelhaus for not ever really, or not successfully looking into the mid lane. We saw, I think, 2 gank attempts and just abandoned, not revisited.
Now, we talked about the top lane, we talked about the mid lane. I also know that we were talking about the bot lane a little bit. Actually, especially, I think it was one of the main things that we focused on during the game. Not because of a lack of being able to not because of a lack of being able to play the game well, but being able to play the game to a point where they could have become as big of a problem as the top lane was. And a lot of that conversation centered around Birdman and around the fact that he and Palm Goats did seem a little bit disjointed, and Birdman wasn't really able to put a lot of value back out onto the Rift with his roams.
Yeah, and I think we should caveat this here, this discussion about Palm Goat and Birdman, with the fact that God Squad never punished it. Okay, so
yeah.
Birdman and Palm Goat, they both were huge in keeping them in the game early. Birdman's roams were on point. We saw a lot of the pressure coming out from that roaming support, and Palm Goat was ahead in CS in 1v2. That is, it's starting to become what we expect from Palm Goat here, but it is frankly above and beyond what should be asked of an ADC. The problem I was having with that was when we were seeing those roams, the fact that Birdman was roaming up and Palm Goat was extremely exposed, huge waves stacked in, jungler bot side should have been kills, didn't come out. I don't like seeing that. I don't want to keep seeing that as we enter this